Hey guys, Desolator Magic back with another mind-blowing video. That's right, I've had another epiphany. Just kidding, I just read somebody's comment and now I'm making a video about it. I don't remember whose because this was a long time ago, but it's just such an amazingly insightful comment, I have to mention it in a video. You probably remember my last video when I said, hey, why are lands even cards in the deck? They just exist as cards to screw you over about 1 in 10 games. Why not put them in a separate deck or just get rid of them altogether and have mana tiers? Like every other card game. And while there are pros and cons, I don't see a lot of cons to this brilliant idea, and this I actually recommend they do implement as an actual change to Magic, unlike getting rid of lands. You know how Wizards had said over and over and over and over and over and over and over that their goal for Modern is to make sure that people don't win consistently with a competitively viable deck prior to turn 4. So Modern is supposed to be a turn 4 format, so that it's not too much like Legacy and Vintage, where it's like a turn 1 or 0 format. Well, at least with some decks. So they keep taking decks like, I guess they kind of said Splitter Twin, but that was like a 3% chance of winning on turn 3. Amulet Bloom absolutely would win on turn 3, so that's probably a better example. They took it and just banned it, because it just won too quickly. I believe they had mentioned that it was also way too hard to stop, but the main problem was a win on turn 3. You're not supposed to be allowed to do that in Modern. It's considered too powerful. So here's a thought that'll blow your mind. I propose a change in rules to just the Modern format. If you win on turn 1, 2, or 3, you lose the game. I mean, it's that simple. If you assembled a winning combo, just wait, because if you win, you actually lose. It's confusing and it's poorly worded, but it would work. Well, if you're as smart as I am, and probably smarter than the R&D department at Wizards, you've probably already figured out why they haven't done this yet. 1, they haven't thought of it. 2, if they have thought of it, the first thing somebody would do is find a deck that makes their opponent win on turn 3 so that their opponent loses. So then you'd have to say, if you win prior to turn 3 but your opponent causes you to win, but then they'd have to define that and it just all goes to crap. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They're not going to do this regardless because they're just too conservative, too careful, and they just never come up with really bold solutions. Everything is always just boring and blah and the least complicated solution for them. You know, because people don't like drastic changes, so I get that. But what do you guys think of the idea? I mean, I think it's lovely. It does solve the problem. I mean, if you have a winning combo on turn like 2 or 3, now you have to hold it. You have to actually give your opponent a chance to make their deck do something too, or pull like a control card or something. That might single-handedly bring back blue. I mean, just for control, you know? But then again, Modern is a turn 4 format right now. So, I mean, if you're really going to delay the game that badly, well, you know, you might as well make it turn 5. And that would actually add the flexibility of the deck. The Modern metagame would get really mixed up because let's say you're not allowed to win the game prior to turn 5. It's just, instead of saying, oh, if you win, you lose, just you're not allowed to win. Now, you'd have to make rulings about that wording too, but it would work. So, if you know for a fact that you've got until turn 5, a Thoughtseize or Duress or, you know, Inquisition of Kozilek or whatever, those cards would get, like, OP as crap. They'd have to outright ban them. Because it's like, oh, they've got a winning combo. Now they don't. I mean, literally everybody would be running them. It would be the new Path to Exile. But other than that, it would be interesting because if I know that I've got until turn 5, I might keep a little bit worse of a hand and actually still have a chance. I might run just a little bit slower of a deck that's really interesting and kind of interactive and combo heavy and real just a good solid deck, but that just gets stomped on turn 4 because, you know, everything in the deck costs 3 or whatever. I mean, it probably wouldn't be a very good deck, but that's just an example. I think that would improve the format like crazy. In fact, in StarCraft 1, the original, we would call this NR5, No Rush 5, which meant you could not attack for 5 minutes. So instead of having to just psychotically throw up photon cannons in your base, you could build normal stuff and know that the enemy's not coming to attack for 5 minutes. So you would build differently and actually get a real game going. Well, the parallels in Magic would be quite the same. So, what do you guys think of this idea? I think it's pretty wild, but it's interesting. I mean, it would be cool if they implemented it. I think it would add a lot to the game. I think it's so different that it would probably have to be its own format, and maybe you could just, you know, if it was like a casual format, you could agree, hey, no rush 7, no rush 10, 10 free turns before anybody can win, or attack, maybe. Or, you don't want to get milled out either, so I would just say win. I've actually played this when somebody said, hey, I just want to see how my deck does mid-game. I don't want to know if your deck can beat me on turn 4. I'm sure it can. I just want to know how my deck does mid-game once stuff is already on the field. So we just said, okay, no winning the game or coming real close to it, or doing a killer combo or anything, or bringing out a 50-50 creature until turn 5. And it served its purpose, but it was mostly for deck testing. But I think it would make an interesting format. So if you guys are bored, try it out. And if you think it's a good enough idea, who knows? If you mention it to Wizards enough times, they might consider it. Well, I'll see you guys next video.